Welcome to RSBN Live Desk. My name is Robert McNeely. Good morning, America. 10:30 on the East Coast. It's 7:30 on the West Coast if you're just waking up with us and enjoying a cup of joe as we await President Trump to hold a meeting with the Bahrain Crown Prince and Prime Minister. This bilateral meeting today discussing a number of different issues ranging from tariffs to trade deals, also to the advancement of Middle East peace. You know that Bahrain was one of the countries essential in the Abraham Accords and those negotiations in the first term of President Trump. He's replicating that now after his recent Gulf trip to the UAE and Qatar and Saudi Arabia as well. So we see the Arab and Muslim world really being behind President Trump, his efforts not only for peace, but for trade and ultimately to deter the Iranian threat, as we saw at the end of the 12 days war last month. Now, President Trump solidifies our positioning in this world as an AI leader with this a major achievement visiting Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania yesterday at the invitation of Senator McCormick. President Trump is making America the undisputed world leader in artificial intelligence and marks a massive leap forward with that round table in Pittsburgh announcing over $90 billion in groundbreaking AI and energy investments in the Keystone State. Now, the Commonwealth was joined by leaders of the nation's premier tech and energy giants, administration officials, and lawmakers. President Trump showcasing the investments this day at an energy and innovation summit. This was just yesterday in Pennsylvania, in case you missed that, with an unwavering commitment to innovation, job creation, and American dominance. The announcement covered tens of billions of dollars in artificial intelligence and energy investment, including Google's $25 billion investment in data centers and infrastructure. This all is led by Blackstone's $25 billion investment in data centers and natural gas plants, and CoreWeave's $6 billion investment in the data center expansion. This also includes nuclear energy as well. As we see outside there, the White House, the Oval Office, the entrance into the West Wing, as military officials gather to welcome the Crown Prince and Prime Minister of Bahrain. Now, President Trump has also announced that he believes Attorney General Pam Bondi, in regards to the Epstein files, should release, per her authority, any credible information that might be out there that can be viewed by the American people. And of course, much of this has been reported to be very sensitive in detail directly from the Attorney General's office. Just yesterday, announcing the counteractions on fentanyl and deadly poisons coming into this country, including most recently into the southeastern United States in a cucumber canister. So just to think how creative some of these drug cartels are getting in the last few days and weeks and months ever since President Trump took office to secure the border 6 months ago. It's been an ongoing battle, but one where you have a president who actually knows what he's doing per his Article 2 authorities. So we'll watch all of those stories as that continues. Also, breaking news, the Senate has advanced a $9 billion rescission package backed by President Trump and targeting foreign aid and public broadcasting. Now, the vote passed 51-50, so that was the tie-break vote by Vice President J.D. Vance. Some GOP detractors on this, Senators Susan Collin of Maine, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, so no surprise there, joining Democrats in opposing the bill. They cited a lack of transparency and concerns over cuts to rural broadcasting, but we know these are individuals who are very much part of the encamped swamp in Washington. And we here at RSBN look forward to the day where Mitch McConnell is a lame duck. He's no longer running for re-election, and January 3rd, 2027 can't come soon enough for someone who is so entrenched in Washington operations. I'd like to thank our sponsors here on the right side of history, mypillow.com/RSBN. The great summer sale happening right now. It's a free shipping sale. The My Cross, you can save half off on that. And that is male and female style crosses. So you can wear what Mike wears on a daily basis. Also the My Pillow bed sheets for as low as $24.98. And the multi-use My Pillow 2.0. I have the My Pillow 1.0. And let me tell you, it helped my sleep so I can have a strong day and get a good night's rest. Now going $9.98. That's better than any lunch deal that's out there, let alone any other deal in this great American land of ours. So call today. Don't delay. 800-836-7566, mypillow.com/RSBN. Save with code RSBN today. Thank you to Mike Lindell, the purveyor of free speech, defender of election integrity, and all things good in this great country. Maybe he'll run for governor of Minnesota. We'll see what happens there. Thank you to Mike Lindell. And as we cover this with President Trump about to hold a meeting with the Bahrain Crown Prince and Prime Minister, we'll take you there live when that does happen. Lots going on in the news cycle. And Mr. Director, what did you say there that you had something mentioned for playback? And we do have some breaking news, as I mentioned. The Senate advanced a $9 billion rescissions package backed by President Trump. This is targeting that foreign aid and public broadcasting. So we see cuts happening really across the board, and this was something that was of concern initially with detractors of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that was signed into law on the 4th of July. But this Congress moving quickly, this Republican agenda, knowing that it could lose the majority come after the midterms. Why? Because it's very, very slim. In the House, you have 219 to 214 right now with 4 vacancies, with elections happening later this year. 3 Democrat vacancies, 1 Republican who is resigning at the end of the month here in July. So that is Mark Green of Tennessee, the most recent announced, and Governor Bill Lee setting that date for later this year for a special election, as well as that's the 7th district. So that's right outside of the Nashville area. The Nashville suburbs goes into the country as well. So the volunteer state. We'll see a new congressman in the coming weeks and months. But you have all of that happening in addition to a 53-47 majority for Republicans in the United States Senate. So they cannot waste any time moving forward on that agenda piece and agenda item. But President Trump also announcing yesterday with that Pittsburgh, PA roundtable, approximately $92 billion in investments from energy to AI. And this includes nuclear energy as well. The great roundtable hosted by business leaders, including Google, some of their AI investments coming to the table with great Pennsylvania companies. Can you imagine for a second if the Democrat nominee, the former vice president, would have been successful in the 2024 election? She was someone who wanted to stop fracking. She would have bankrupted the Keystone State and all of the great jobs this initiative will create after President Trump signing that executive order to drill, baby, drill. That's what it really comes down to. And he touched on that yesterday with the clean coal and the energy production that really, Texas gets credited a lot for their amazing energy production in this nation. But you really have to look to the Keystone State, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, for the amount of energy they produce on a daily basis for this great nation. And because where they're located geopolitically, it will bring an immense amount of jobs into the Commonwealth. So we look forward to following that story. President Trump clearly very proud of what took place there yesterday in those meetings with business leaders and Senator McCormick, and also bipartisan as well with state representatives and senators present for that great round table in the Steel City of Pittsburgh. And we await President Trump holding a meeting with the Bahrain Crown Prince and Prime Minister momentarily. So we'll bring that to you when we see them arrive there at the entrance to the West Wing. And this will be on a number of different items, including tariffs, trade deals. President Trump announcing yesterday as well, right before his visit with Pennsylvania, that there's been a new deal done with the Republic of Indonesia. And that was a result of one of those letters that went out just days ago regarding tariffs and renegotiating a number of trade deals globally. So this president working around the clock on a number of different items, including the ongoing questions surrounding the Epstein files. Were they there? Are they there? Are there countless documents? Is there one document? There's so much that is or remains a mystery. But as President Trump has said, he has full faith in his team at the Department of Justice, whether it be Kash Patel at FBI, Pam Bondi as the AG, the Deputy FBI Director as well, Dan Bongino. So there have been a lot of discussions, rumors, opinion on all of it. We'll see where it lands. Here at RSBN's Live Desk, we want to bring you the truth in real time. And wherever that story does lead us, we will bring that to you to cover all of the issues at hand. But the latest on that, President Trump saying that the Attorney General should put out anything credible that can be put out there. We know these documents as well have countless horrible things attached to them, including child pornography, evil, horrible things that this character, Jeffrey Epstein, was associated with, whether it was the fact that he could have been an intelligence agent, he could have been simply a private citizen who was involved in these evil, horrible acts. We'll see where the breadcrumbs lead. We'll see where the facts matter and shed light on the darkness. That's what it's all about, being in journalism and in the media to bring you those stories in real time. There's also the fact that Alan Dershowitz is alleging that he has seen this list. There's also people out there saying that there are names associated who simply did business but had no idea what Jeffrey Epstein was all about. So again, we will see where all of it leads. We know it's on everyone's hearts and minds, especially in the MAGA world, because it's the worst thing that you could do to someone, to traffic them. It's modern day slavery, and God willing, with public and private partnerships, this will all come to an end, but we'll stay on it here for you at Right Side Broadcasting Network Live. Let's rewind 1 year ago to the Republican National Convention, just days after President Trump would have been victim to an assassin. Thanks be to God, though, that that person was unsuccessful. We know that 6 Secret Service agents have been fired or put on leave given the situation surrounding Butler, Pennsylvania. And President Trump has appointed Sean Curran as that Secret Service director, the man who was with him the day he was shot, the man literally at his right-hand side to hold him up, to protect him, literally by his belt loop, in case anything horrible like that would happen. And we know what happened that day in Butler on July 13th, losing Corey Campitor, an amazing man, a firefighter, a public servant, guarding and shielding his wife and children as they attended a political rally. There should never be violence at political rallies, and it moves us to work harder as a people in order to make sure that does not happen. Now, Scott Knuth of Virginia, a great front row Joe, and also a Virginia delegate to the RNC, captured some amazing footage for us and has given us permission to air that video of President Trump emerging from the backstage of the Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin for the Republican National Convention, which was taking place just 1 year ago today. Please enjoy this video. Just an amazing moment. I think we all remember where we were for the Republican National Convention. I was right here with you, with Matthew Alvarez, covering that wonderful convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where 20 promises were made, 20 promises were kept, and adopted into Republican National Committee platform. And there with House Speaker Mike Johnson, then Senator J.D. Vance, who was the vice presidential nominee, coming together with the presidential nominee, Donald Trump, in a moment that I think we really look back on and think, wow, look at the last 6 months and all the successes that have happened. The fact that 10,000 children of the 300,000 lost by the AutoPen administration have been recovered. We learned that on Friday when President Trump was leaving the White House, speaking to reporters and the press pool in Washington, D.C., and look at everything with the tax relief to securing our borders, to historic energy growth, and much, much more. That could have all not been the case if an assassin would have been successful. And we never know when our time is called to be back with the Lord. But thanks be to God, he protected President Donald Trump in that moment. And it shows that God is not done with this great nation, that the golden era has commenced, and that the best is truly yet to come. As you can see there, our Marines and Naval Forces, our Coast Guard, all preparing to welcome the Crown Prince of Bahrain and the Prime Minister in a bilateral meeting that will take place in the West Wing in the Oval Office to discuss trade, tariffs, and also the Abraham Accords and how the Arab world, the Middle East world, can continue to move forward post the 12 days war between Israel and Iran. And it's an amazing thing to watch because this president was able to secure peace through strength. And we know the successes of what took place in Iran, and the Muslim and Arab world condemning Iran for striking Doha, Qatar, a very base that President Trump was at, as well as Secretary of State Pete Hegseth weeks prior to that strike, the emir then warning President Trump of that. So better relations throughout the Middle East as a result of President Trump's peace through strength philosophy. I'd like to thank our sponsors here on the right side of history, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. It's code RSBN10. It's a new one for you. 10% off NAD+, methylene blue, ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, and much, much more. So scan that QR code today. Order now. This also includes Mebendazole and 200 essential medications for you and yours, including emergency medical kits, antibiotics, and things you can use that are life-saving when it comes to viral infections, bacterial infections, and much, much more. So have them in your medicine cabinet or even take them on the road with you during your summer vacations and travels. This is an interesting time because President Trump has signed the executive order to bring down the cost of prescription drugs. And we've even seen states tackle this issue, with Arkansas becoming the first U.S. state to enact a law prohibiting pharmacy benefit managers from owning or operating pharmacies. So this is when the insurance companies own the pharmacies and double dip. This is aiming to address conflicts of interest that critics say drive up drug prices and harm independent pharmacies, such as allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Now below is a key summary of key articles covering this legislation known as House Bill 1150 or Act 624, all signed by Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders on April 16th of this year, with an effective date of next year, January 1st, 2026. So it's important times to bring down the cost of scales of your pharmaceutical drugs that could literally be life-saving. So allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN there for you in these trying times. It's about 10 minutes until 11 o'clock. We see the staff getting ready, the Secret Service, also Marines, Navy, Coast Guard, everyone there on staff at the White House preparing for a state visit from the Bahrain Crown Prince and Prime Minister, bilateral meeting to take place in the Oval Office in the West Wing there. That's a live look of the doors outside of the West Wing, where they normally greet heads of state for these business meetings. And we know President Trump has now met with nearly 20 heads of state right there at that door, and usually comes out himself to greet them. It's a different era compared to just a few short months ago with the auto pen at the helm of just about everything. So it's good to see promises made, promises kept, and results taking place. And especially with the rescission results that are developing, $9 billion in cuts. J.D. Vance, the vice president, having to come in to make that tie-break vote happen in the United States Senate, with sadly GOP detractors including McConnell, Murkowski, and Collins. This has seemed to be a regular thing with all of them. And Mitch McConnell is a lame duck. His style of governance will not be missed, especially by the MAGA movement. He has worked to undermine countless populist items and issues that have made America great again. We have Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, who seem to be more aligned with Democrats on a regular basis than they are with the middle class. So we will see if any primaries come about as a result of that. There's also discussion that Elon Musk might start a third party, but thanks to great people like Scott Pressler advising the good Elon Musk, let's rethink that and maybe just get involved in primaries. That's the way it should be in order to ensure that Republican majorities remain established, because it's the narrowest of leads, as I've detailed here countless times. 219 to 214 in the House, 4 vacancies right now that will be filled later this year. And then is also a 53-47 majority for Republicans in the U.S. Senate. Now, 45 Democrats, 2 independents who caucus with the Democrats, Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont and Senator Angus King of Maine, but only 53 Republicans on the Senate side. And those majorities can be grown next year in 2026 if the agenda continues to move forward. And we know how fast President Trump moved in the first term, but there seems to be now more of a sense of urgency more than ever before, given just how important it is to cross the finish line with a number of these legislative agendas. And we'll stay right on top of that with you here at Right Side Broadcasting Network Live. Now, President Trump putting out just an hour ago via Truth Social that the radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt again, just like the fake and fully discredited Steele dossier, the lying 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, which the Dems swore had come from Russia. No, it came from Hunter Biden's bathroom. And even the Russia scam itself, a totally fake and made up story used in order to hide crooked Hillary Clinton's big loss in the 2016 presidential election. These scams and hoaxes are all the Democrats are good at. It's all they have. They are no good at governing, no good at policy, and no good at picking winning candidates. Also, unlike Republicans, they stick together like glue. Their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And my past supporters have brought into this BS hook, line, and sinker. They haven't learned their lesson and probably never will, even after being conned by the lunatic left for 8 long years. I've had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history. And all these people want to talk about the strong prodding of the fake news, and the success starved is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success, because I don't want their support anymore. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. And that's President Trump. He doesn't mince words. He gets right down to it. And they are trying to throw spaghetti at the wall, the demon rats, in order to find anything that can stick. And it doesn't work. President Trump is the consummate deal maker. He wants to sit down and understand where his opponent may stand, or where someone of goodwill, but maybe of a different perspective, is standing, especially when it comes to business deals. He's brought that energy and that prowess to the halls of government, especially at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and world leaders coming to that very doorstep because of President Trump's leadership skills that are on display on a regular basis. Now we'll see what goes further with all of these Epstein files, what is said there, and President Trump being very clear about Attorney General Pam Bondi putting his full faith and support in her, but also that she should release anything that's credible, anything the public can see in this process. We've had people like Alan Dershowitz, very highly respected, a traditional liberal Democrat attorney, claiming he's actually seen this list, if there is one at all. So it's very interesting to see who is making comments here and there, but a lot of it within media right now, simply opinion, simply feeling. And we here at the network want to bring you those cold, hard, true facts wherever the breadcrumbs do lead. And we know it's a major concern within the MAGA movement. It's a major concern of mine personally. But you have to look at the record of where people have stood on all of this. And there have been 6 months, a very short period of time, of great successes, including on Friday, President Trump announcing 10,000 children being found and saved and returned into society. The 300,000 that were lost that we know of because border security, border patrol, government agencies reporting that that did happen under the auto pen. And that has been the big hang-up for border czar Tom Homan. He has stated on countless times that the stories of these young children crossing the border, it's heartbreaking, especially as a father and a parent, as he stated, just to listen to all this. His family has had to go into hiding because of all the threats Tom Homan receives on his life for simply doing his job. And this is someone who received an award from Barack Hussein Obama for doing an extraordinary job watching the border under that president as well, including 6 presidents that Mr. Homan has served under. So we watch where all of this leads. We watch where the work happens between AG Bondi, Director Patel, Deputy Director Bongino, and we'll be unafraid to find where the light will uncover the darkness. So stay tuned with us and what I like to call the real media against the legacy media that likes to go into the hoaxes, that likes to go into Russia, 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 that won't mention the fact that the shifty Schiff, Senator Adam Schiff of the Golden State of California, now might be guilty of mortgage fraud. Something that the New York Attorney General claimed President Trump did and went after him in a hoax in order to prevent him from reclaiming the presidency. She failed at that. She weaponized her office and then put on the back burner justice needed for real Americans. It's ironic how someone like Adam Schiff can continue to serve in office when he seems to be breaking the law in his own right. But we will remain on that story as well. This is all on the heels of President Trump signing yet another historic trade deal now with Indonesia, and stating on True Social that he finalized yesterday an important deal with the Republic of Indonesia. This is before his trip to Pennsylvania to talk energy, AI, at that roundtable with leaders, including Senator McCormick in the Commonwealth just yesterday. President Trump stating that he was speaking with the highly respected President Prabowo Subianto. This landmark deal opens up Indonesia's entire market to the United States for the first time in history. And as part of this agreement, Indonesia has committed to purchasing $15 billion in United States energy, $4.5 billion in American agricultural products, and 50 Boeing jets, many of them 777s. For the first time ever, our ranchers, farmers, and fishermen will have complete and total access to the Indonesian market of over 280 million people. In addition, Indonesia will pay the United States a 19% tariff on all goods they export to us, while U.S. exports to Indonesia are to be tariff and non-tariff barrier free. If there is any transshipment from a higher tariff country, then that tariff will be added onto the tariff that Indonesia is paying. Thank you to the people of Indonesia for your friendship and commitment to balancing our trade deficit. We will keep delivering for the American people and the people of Indonesia. It's really a remarkable thing because President Trump has really put all of his cards into this area, paying down our debt, $36 trillion, using tariffs. Just as we did with all of that wealth back in the late 19th century, before we had a federal income tax, we funded this great country through tariffs, and we could do that again. Thank you to our sponsors here on the right side of history. Kalshi.com/RSBN. Did you catch the All-Star game last night? Wow, that was one for the ages in Atlanta, Georgia, with that second home run derby of sorts to do the tiebreak, and Kyle Schwarber of the Philadelphia Phillies knocking it out of the park on 3 occasions and winning it all for the National League, who will have home field advantage. I bring that up because you can bet on all of those questions and trade items at Kalshi.com/RSBN, whether it's sports, music, politics, the culture. Will Elon Musk create a third party, the American Party? Will President Trump pardon anyone this year, including the great Steve Bannon? We'll see what happens with all of those questions, and they can go up and down pending the popularity of them. But why not bet and trade on everything affecting America domestically and internationally at Kalshi.com/RSBN. Thank you for your sponsorship. Angel Paste as well, a great miracle cream. That's the original. You've seen me try it here on the network. And it's infused with vitamin B, minerals, things that are simply good for your skin to absorb. Non-GMO, no chemicals. Also, the orange immunity option, great, wonderful, really infused with vitamin C, so it's good year-round. And the natural facial spray and mosquito repellent. Experience the miracles today at angelpaste.com. They are Christian-owned. They are based in the Lone Star State of Texas in Spring, right off of the Gulf of America. Angelpaste.com. Thank you for your sponsorship of RSBN. President Trump also stating on True Social that he was in the Oval Office yesterday with 11 of the 12 congressmen necessary to pass the Genius Act. And after a short discussion, they have all agreed to vote today, this morning, in favor of the rule. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, was at the meeting via telephone and looks forward to taking the vote as early as possible. I want to thank the congressmen and women for their quick and positive response. Make America great again. And President Trump joked yesterday that in Pennsylvania, I'm glad these congressmen aren't here, that they're actually deliberating and voting on crucial matters and moving quickly actually through the summer months in order to get the rescission bills done and the Genius Act, among other legislation that will help complete the MAGA agenda, because these are the narrowest of majorities. And even with all of the successes, Republicans have struggled in a sense to not get as much flair and excitement over candidates when President Trump is not on the top of the ballot. But he's clearly in a situation right now where he can go out there and campaign and say, these are the promises made, these are the promises kept, this is what will happen if we keep these majorities, in order to keep this legislation moving, in order to keep seeing the successes that we are seeing on a daily basis for this administration and this country, because they were left with the worst situations given what the Otto Penn and his administration had committed over the course of 4 years. All self-inflicted wounds. If they simply stayed away from the border, if they simply continued the Trump tax cuts, there would not have been the issues that we saw. And we saw horrible situations, whether it be October 7th of 2023 with the terrorist attack on Israel by Hamas, later by Hezbollah in Lebanon, Russia invading the Ukraine. Terrible things happened when President Trump was out of office. because it wasn't promises made, promises kept. It wasn't peace through strength. It was the bureaucratic old guard, the deep state League of Shadow globalists, the Uniparty, that thought they were going to throw a big party for themselves. But thanks be to God, you centered and recoursed the ship peacefully and patriotically on November 5th with your vote for this constitutional government. Now, President Trump updating with Russia as well. He's speaking to President Vladimir Putin on a regular basis. Now the clock is ticking as he has promised 100% secondary tariffs across the board in less than 50 days now if Russia does not come to the table for a serious peace agreement. As President Trump was saying, he'd be on the phone with him and it would be all about peace. This is Vladimir Putin. And then on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 occasions now, firing missiles into the Ukraine and going against what he had said on the phone to President Trump. So as a result, somewhat of a shift in foreign policy this week to a certain extent, where President Trump is offering, via the United States government, Patriot missiles to the Ukraine, but NATO and Europe having to pay for them at a 100% rate. And NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, the former Prime Minister of the Dutch capital of the Netherlands, was with President Trump early in the week on Monday, discussing his understanding and thanks to the United States for offering these, but acknowledging the payments appropriate by Europe because this is a European problem. This is not an American conflict. And that's not an isolationist statement for those naysayers out there. It's a common sense statement because there are some who would perpetuate war both in the Republican camp and the Democrat camp. They don't want peace because of lobbyists, because of their relationships in Washington, because of the military-industrial complex. That's been clear ever since the late, great General Dwight D. Eisenhower served as the 34th President of the United States. He's been very clear on that, as have other America First presidents throughout that period of time, including Ronald Reagan and now President Donald Trump. The powers that be don't like the decisions they make, and we see there are consequences as a result. But we thank President Trump for his leadership, for his strength, and we pray for this administration as it continues to work overtime for you and the American people. Let's go to a quick commercial break for our sponsors, and then we'll be right back with you here as we await President Trump to hold a meeting with the Bahrain Prime Minister and Crown Prince at the White House.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Welcome back to RSBN's Live Desk. We await President Trump momentarily to hold a bilateral meeting with the Bahrain Crown Prince and Prime Minister right there in the West Wing and the Oval Office. Now, we know the Abraham Accords were signed at the White House on September 15th of 2020 during President Donald Trump's first administration. This represented a landmark achievement in United States, Middle East diplomacy and foreign policy. The agreements led to peace agreements between Israel, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, who will be meeting with the president today, and Morocco soon thereafter. Now, Israel also initiated a normalization process with the Sudan, but this did not lead to the normalization of relations because of Sudan's domestic turmoil in late 2020. And this was all in the height of the COVID pandemic. But the overarching goal of the accords specifically was to defuse tensions in the Middle East by the normalizing of relations between Israel and several so-called moderate Arab states. In return, these nations would gain access to the advanced technologies and fresh trade opportunities motivated by a shared view of Iran as a strategic threat. Now, the plan followed the Peace to Prosperity in the Middle East workshop organized in Bahrain all the way back in June of 2019 by President Trump's son-in-law and then advisor, Jared Kushner. An inspiration for the Accords came from the idea that geoeconomics could diffuse geopolitical tensions by providing financial and economic incentives to circumvent seemingly intractable conflicts. And so rewind for a moment all the way back to the Camp David Accords during Jimmy Carter's administration, really truly his major foreign policy success between Israel and Egypt at the time. Well, this Abraham Accords, truly the 2.0 of that, with even many more countries, and we've seen it, the success of all of it, the lasting impact with what took place with these so-called moderate Arab and Muslim countries coming together, including the leader of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, Mahmoud Abbas, someone who has been very anti-Israel, anti-Semitic for countless years. The organization in and of itself has at times called for the elimination of the Jewish state, bar none, period, full stop. They came out there and said, Mahmoud Abbas, that Iran was wrong to strike Doha, Qatar, the United States Air Force Base there, where President Trump and Secretary Hegseth had visited with United States military personnel just weeks prior to that strike after the successful American strike on the Iranian nuclear facilities to end the 12 days war between Israel and the Iranian Republic. Now, from the United States perspective, the Abraham Accords served as a dual purpose of solidifying the United States' role as regional security guarantor while bypassing the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. By presenting itself as a patron and guarantor of these accords, Washington also sought to counterbalance China's rising regional influence, particularly in the advancement of technologies. Now, the Otto Penn administration actually endorsed the Abraham Accords, and there was a point in the campaign of September 2020 where his back was really up against the ropes. So we know he was campaigning from his basement. How he reached 81 million votes, there's a lot of discrepancy over that, and that's for another discussion. But Joe Biden did endorse all of this and President Trump's amazing successes. But even though normalized relations were happening between the so-called moderate Arab nations and with Israel, it came to a standstill with the Hamas attacks that took place on October 7th, as I mentioned earlier, that provoked regional and global condemnation of these terrorists who went after innocent people, many young Israelis, Americans, and people from all over the world simply enjoying a concert on a beautiful evening in October. The Abraham Accords have largely survived the war and conflict throughout the Middle East, but their future will depend on broader dynamic discussions in the region and beyond. And that's why you have this coming together now. The Bahrain Crown Prince and Prime Minister meeting with President Trump. This was actually one of the cornerstone moments of the campaign, because if you remember, the former vice president, in choosing a running mate, had some reservations seemingly about picking Governor Josh Shapiro, a Jew from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, someone who's been attacked in his home, in his gubernatorial residence, which again, we here at RSBN call for political violence to completely end. It should never happen, especially in the dialogue that we have in this great country. All sides should respect one another, and the Attorney General Pam Bondi and the President of the United States, Donald Trump, very swift to assist with Pennsylvania with anything as a fallout from those attacks, because his family lives there, and it just should never happen, period. People should not fear serving in public office, regardless of political party and ideology. And the former vice president seemingly having those reservations because she was worried about suburban Detroit and the large Arab population that exists there, that somehow having a Jew on the Democrat ticket would cause an anti-Semitic backlash in the vote. Well, karma is a thing or two, as they put it, and many Arab Democrat mayors in the suburbs of Detroit ended up supporting and endorsing President Trump, not based on all of his policies, acknowledging that there were some differences, but acknowledging the fact that the Abraham Accords, that these peace agreements had a lot to do with bringing everyone not only to the table, but that everyone could be heard, because whether it's the suburbs of Detroit or the suburbs of Philadelphia to Chicago and New York, whether you come from a Jewish or Arab background, many people having family members who suffered from those terrorist attacks on October 7th and the continued disruption in the Middle East and conflicts between Israel, Lebanon, and Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthi rebels as well. Saudi Arabia had to deal with this in the Gulf states with the Houthi rebel pirates that were blocking trade routes. And they were stopped by the Saudi Navy, the American Navy as well. So there's a cause and effect to all of this foreign policy, and really a brilliance in President Trump bringing people to the table using capitalism, using the idea to grow capital within their own countries through freedom, through dialogue. He brought the North Korean leader to the table in Singapore in his first term because of this, actually highlighting a video of, look what you can have, look what the South Koreans have, your neighbors to the south. Look at what America has. Look what the Western world has been able to produce if you want this freedom, if you get rid of the reins of totalitarianism. It's a great argument. And as President Trump said to then President Barack Obama when he invited him over to the Oval Office in the end of the Obama term, Obama says to Trump, well, you're going to have a war with North Korea. And President Trump responded saying, have you tried calling Kim Jong-un? Have you tried dialoguing with him, having a conversation? That's the brilliance behind this president's mentality. It's about making the deals. It's about talking to everyone. It's about understanding where the other person stands before making a big decision. And as the military is ready to welcome the Bahrain Crown Prince and Prime Minister, we can showcase this style of economics, this style of negotiation that President Trump did just yesterday in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania with all of the success we are seeing in the energy sector and with AI and the jobs that it will bring to the Keystone State.
This afternoon, 20 leading technology and energy companies are announcing more than $92 billion of investments in Pennsylvania. And if you want, we could probably get them up. Let's talk to them right now. But this is a really triumphant day for the people of the Commonwealth and for the United States of America. We're doing things that nobody ever thought possible.
And as Congress continues to work overtime to push through the Trump agenda, we see that Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth posting on X that he's proud to announce with the Secretary of the Air Force $10 billion worth of savings via Doge. So thank you to Elon Musk, to his vision, for all the naysayers out there saying that he was just trying to get special accommodations, special interests, this, that, and the other. His effect on Washington will be lasting for a long time. Meeting and taking the time with countless people over those 130 days as a special government employee to help enact this. And understand, this is an uphill battle. There are countless people within the Beltway, both in Republican ranks and Democrat ranks, who want to keep things as they are, who see this as, oh, President Trump won't be around forever. We have through January 2029, then we could get back to the way things were. Well, if you keep passing legislation like the one big beautiful bill, that act that became law on the 4th of July, then you can codify these things like the Trump tax cuts, like no tax on tips, and things like saving Social Security and saving Medicaid, because it's getting illegals off of these welfare benefits that they were taking advantage of, while American citizens were not reaping the benefits of the rewards, the investments that they had put into their retirements. And this MAGA movement, this populist movement, really focused on that. And we saw when President Trump celebrated 100 days in Warren Township, Michigan, that his living predecessors, they wanted to bankrupt Detroit and bankroll Beijing. And there's a new sheriff in town. And let's even go back to that joint session of Congress, President Trump stating that to both sides of the aisle when it came specifically to the border, securing it and protecting investments in the United States and growing this economy. We really did not need any additional legislation. We simply needed a new president to enforce the law and to serve the American people and to put this country first, instead of the globalists lining their pockets and serving their own special interests as a result. If you're just tuning in now, we are awaiting President Trump to hold a meeting, the Bahrain Crown Prince and Prime Minister, and that will be forthcoming here as his motorcade should be showing up relatively momentarily, and we know that by the flags on display. And it's always a wonderful welcome and display. As you can see, the entrance to the West Wing there, just outside of the Oval Office, the American flag, the Bahrain flag. There is a naval officer holding the North Carolinian flag as well, a beautiful one as such from 1775. And in the background there with the American flag and the American flag draped pillars, that is the Eisenhower office that's on the White House campus. In between the West Wing and the Eisenhower building there, the vice presidential motorcade. So J.D. Vance gets around there via that motorcade that sits right outside of the Oval. And his office, the ceremonial office that was the Secretary of War's office, just to the right of that American flag in the top right corner. It's a beautiful ornate office that has a balcony that actually oversees the West Wing. So it's a nice, lovely time for the Vice President, if he ever gets a moment or two with his busy schedule, just to kick back and relax and look at the beautiful White House. It's quite a vantage point, as he will be in there for interviews, to countless signing ceremonies, and also special events. But we do know that the Vice President's schedule today, he is on the road visiting Pennsylvania as well. So he is in the Keystone State, the Commonwealth, to continue the push for the Trump administration domestic policies that would have been destroyed, quite frankly, if Kamala Harris would have been successful last year. Everything she was proposing would have destroyed fracking and energy production and growth within the Commonwealth. And yesterday, based on the $92 billion estimated in investments from energy to AI and everything in between, the Commonwealth really would have been in trouble, as Texas gets a lot of credit for energy, as they should, in this great country of ours. But as Senator McCormick put it, it's really Pennsylvania leading the charge in America that will bring high-skilled labor and jobs and a better, stronger economy, not only to the Commonwealth itself, but to the United States, because regionally speaking, it is the perfect place to live with their climate, with the Great Lakes, with the natural resources that are in Pennsylvania. So many companies joining that effort, including Google, their AI technologies, including nuclear efforts, as well as many Pennsylvania-based companies that were with President Trump, thanking him for the outstanding work that he has done to bring up production here in the United States. And it's catching the attention of countless people, including Home Depot's co-founder, now sold on President Trump. As he stated, Ken Lagone, the co-founder of Home Depot, says he has never been more excited about the future of America than he is under President Trump. In an interview with CNBC, Lagone praised President Trump's economic policies, his leadership, and the return of the American spirit. And here's what you missed in case you did miss his comments on the optimism of America. Ken said that if I told you how bullish I was, you wouldn't believe it. I have never been more excited about the future of America than I am right now under these policies, right this minute, for a lot of reasons. Number one, like it or not, this guy is getting things done. He's acting presidential, and I'm impressed with the people he's got around him. Now, on his past reluctance, I am sold on Trump. I think he's got a good shot at going down in history as one of our best presidents ever. What I'm seeing happening is absolutely nothing short of a great thing. People are walking with more of a bounce in their step. It's all around. When you made a mistake, you admit it. Now, on tariffs, initially my concern was that I don't like tariffs. I like free trade. However, I think, damn it, give Trump credit. His instincts are good. Some of these things need to be fixed. And Ken stating on the one big, beautiful bill, I was worried about inflation and I was worried about the deficit. I think there's a lot of merit to the notion that it's going to trigger such significant economic growth that we might see tax revenues going up through the profitability bracket. And finally, on foreign policy, the world is a mess. But I think it's coming more in our direction than it was thanks to the prior administration. I think that strike in Iran had significant symbolic meaning for the world, that America is here, and when our interests are at risk, we're going to do something about it. So that's all from Ken Lagone, the co-founder of the Home Depot, which has been a great success, not only in Atlanta, Georgia, but throughout this great country of ours, a great company to work for. Thank you to all of our sponsors, and especially you, the viewers. If you'd like to donate to our great cause, rsbnetwork.com/donate. You could text RSBN to 801-801. Thank you for your support here on the right side of history. We are citizen journalists, anchors, hosts, and writers of the written word to dive deep into these policies regarding your 47th president, your 50th vice president, the 119th Congress, everything inside and outside of the Beltway. And if you wish to opine, please write via feedback@rsbn.tv. That's feedback@rsbn.tv. But we use all of this to advance this mission. There's legacy media out there that has an agenda. Our agenda is simply you, the American people, and the truth, wherever that may lead. rsbnetwork.com/donate or text RSBN to 801-801. Thank you for your financial support as we are on the correct side of history, as we are bringing you a perspective that no one else is out there, with our live desk and our programming focused on you, the American people, and this populist movement. Now, President Trump announcing the $92 billion in AI and energy powerhouse investments in the Commonwealth as he visited Pennsylvania yesterday, showcasing an unprecedented $92 billion commitment to cutting-edge AI and energy initiatives ignited widespread acclaim for the Trump administration's work in these sectors, a vision and catalyst for unparalleled growth and opportunity coming from Blackstone President and COO John Gray. I want to start by thanking President Trump for recognizing the importance of American leadership in artificial intelligence innovation and for prioritizing the physical investment required in digital and energy infrastructure to make this AI revolution possible. We believe this new technology can lead to a manufacturing renaissance in the United States. Google President and CIO Ruth Porat saying, "Thank you very much, Mr. President, for your leadership, for your clear and urgent direction that our nation needs in investments in AI, in the infrastructure, technology, and energy that's all needed to unlock extraordinary capabilities and really enable America to continue to lead." First Energy CEO Brian Turney, thank you, President Trump, for your leadership, particularly on energy security and what it means to our economy. We are planning $15 billion of investment between now and the end of your term in the distribution grid and the transmission grid to enable things like artificial intelligence development, shale gas development, and any other form of economic and technological developments that there is. Now, Westinghouse CEO Dan Sumner, President Trump, you've led on nuclear energy in this country and you've reinvigorated our industry with the vision that you've set forth in your executive orders. Our industry is reinvigorated and we're ready to mobilize. And what we're happy to share today is we've taken the call to action under your executive leadership and executive orders that this is not only critical to our achievement as a nation, but with your goals to respect to energy dominance and winning the AI race. But it's a driver of massive economic benefit across the entire country. CoreWeave CEO Mike Intrater says that we're extremely excited about the role that this data center is going to play in our plans to be able to support the Commonwealth's future in Pennsylvania, but with the broader mid-Atlantic region for all of us who call it home. And your support has been incredible across the energy space that's required to deliver clean, reliable power, as well as your support for artificial intelligence at large. And even the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette posting on the front page a wonderful photo of President Trump and Senator McCormick of the Commonwealth. It says Trump $92 billion investment ushers in Pennsylvania golden age. The Tribune Review calling it a historic investment with handshaking between the good senator from Pennsylvania and President Trump. Also the Philadelphia Inquirer stating that Trump and McCormick hail billions in AI and energy products for Pennsylvania. The Times Tribune talking about the Trump-McCormick investments. Also the Altoona Mirror, a local paper in Pennsylvania. Trump touts Pennsylvania energy and AI investments. All of the successes that have come as a result, as President Trump has truly solidified America as a leader in artificial intelligence. This is on the heels of Vice President J.D. Vance's visit to Paris, France for that AI summit several months ago, because President Trump is making America the undisputed world leader in artificial intelligence and marks this week as a massive leap forward with the announcement of this $92+ billion investment in AI technologies and energy investments in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Again, in case you missed it, he was joined by leaders yesterday in the Steel City of Pittsburgh, the nation's premier tech and energy giants, in fact, administration officials and lawmakers at the state, local, and federal levels to enjoy this Energy and Innovation Summit hosted by Senator McCormick, underscoring the Trump administration's unwavering commitment to innovation, job creation, and American dominance at all levels. Now, the announcement covered tens of billions of dollars in AI and energy investment, including Google's $25 billion investment in data centers and infrastructure, and Blackstone's $25 billion investment in data centers and natural gas plants, and CoreWeave's $6 billion investment in data center expansion. So promises made, promises kept, as this administration continues to work hard for you, the American people. And the agenda going through Congress now with a rescission package totaling at least $9 billion in savings. We will have some congressmen on this week to detail all of that for you right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. That was a tie-break vote coming out of the Senate. J.D. Vance, your 50th vice president, giving that tie-break because there are some GOP detractors, including Senator McConnell of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Senator Susan Collins of Maine, and Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. Although, just like with the One Big Beautiful Bill, she put a lot of what she wanted into the bill and then ended up voting against it. I don't know where her mind is at, but we know that Mr. McConnell is retiring, thanks be to God. But let's look to Maine. Let's look to Alaska. Perhaps you young Republicans out there, I know that your big conference is coming up in Nashville, Tennessee at the end of the month into the first week of August. Maybe one of you who's 30 plus can primary Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, because they are a waste of time for the MAGA movement. They're a waste of time for this country. And quite frankly, they might as well become Democrats because they like to caucus with those demon rats. They're against the MAGA agenda. They're against populist American middle class common sense. And they're against you, the good viewers here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Prove me otherwise. We've reached out to their office. We will continue to do so to get their take on things. But how can you not conclude that it's simply to benefit the deep state and to continue the bureaucracy? Why would you not want to save money for this great nation as we're at $36 trillion in debt, and President Trump working overtime to create trade deals, bringing billions and trillions of wealth back into the United States, as we will see today with his bilateral meeting, the Bahrainian Crown Prince and Prime Minister welcomed to the White House. We know that the Abraham Accords have deep resilience in what they accomplished back in September of 2020 with Bahrain, the UAE, Morocco, and Israel really setting a standard along with other moderate Arab nations to bring peace not only to Israel but throughout the Middle East, and to condemn the actions of the Iranian government. Although they were tested during October 7th of 2023, it seems as if the America First peace through strength foreign policy again has come into play in a strong way, especially with President Trump's successful strike on the Iranian nuclear sites that led to the end of the 12 days war between Israel and Iran. And as regional tensions rose during the Gaza conflict, Arab-Israeli contact resulting from the Abraham Accords was mainly confined to state-to-state relations and discrete business-to-business ties as societal levels contact waned. But as things have changed within the Middle East, the UAE, Bahrain, and Morocco all managed the fallout from the Gaza war in line with their perceived interests. So that's why you have these ongoing discussions, these ongoing meetings taking place to make sure that peace does reign throughout the region. And ever since that October of 2023, President Trump has just come out of the building. And the Prime Minister, Crown Prince of Bahrain, meeting with President Trump in the Oval Office. We'll bring you to that meeting once it's available. And thank you to our sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network Live, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Code RSBN10 for 10% off NAD+, methylene blue, ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, and much, much more, including Mebendazole, 200 essential medications, and emergency medical kits and antibiotics that can help save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections. Life-saving medication, all for a cost-effective price. And exciting new details, not only President Trump's executive order to bring down the cost of these skyrocketing medications, but also in April of this year, Arkansas becoming the first U.S. state to enact a law prohibiting pharmacy benefit managers, that's PBMs as it's put, from owning and operating pharmacies, aiming to address conflicts of interest that critics say drive up the cost of prices and harm independent pharmacies, such as allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Now, this is thanks to House Bill 1150 or Act 624, signed by Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders on April 16th of this year with an effective date of January 1st, 2026. So thank you to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN in the state of Arkansas and President Trump for all they're doing to bring down the costs of prescription drugs. Kalshi.com/RSBN. Why not bet on the big questions facing the United States of America? Will Elon Musk create a new political party this year? Will President Trump pardon anyone else this year, including the great Steve Bannon? You can scan the QR code now, take those bets, trade on them as well. And we had some questions yesterday regarding the All-Star game for Major League Baseball. We saw the National League won thanks to Kyle Schwarber and the tie-break home runs that he set, blasting them out to right field at Truist Park in Atlanta, Georgia. The Philadelphia Phillies in the National League celebrating as they will have home field advantage in the World Series. Kalshi.com/RSBN. Trade on everything, all of the big questions, music, sports, culture, politics, all right there for you. Kalshi.com/RSBN. And there's a live look there of the West Wing and the Oval Office where President Trump is meeting with the Bahrainian Crown Prince and Prime Minister, discussing all things from Abraham Accords to tariffs and trade deals and the status of peace in the Middle East in this ever-changing, very confusing world at times. But this president knows how to bring everyone to the table. We've seen it on a daily basis, and we've seen a shift in environment for the Abraham Accords, both good and bad, ever since they were signed back in September of 2020 with Bahrain, UAE, and also Morocco and Israel, with the United States there hosting that great ceremony on the South Lawn of the White House, and the participation of some Arab countries in countering Iranian attacks against Israel during October 7th of 2024 with the Hamas strikes and the terrorist attack, or everything that led up to the moments that we are at today. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who visited the White House last week and nominating President Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize, has really focused on this Abraham alliance, as he's put it, to support the Abraham Accords. However, the defense vision portraying Iran as the main regional foe of Israel and the Arab states has somewhat eroded globally. As you go from different interest to different interest, we know where the Chinese Communist Party stands, usually surrounded by an axis of evil, or those who are more totalitarian in nature, trying to use Iranian airfields and supplies as an ability to have a leg up. Now, they've been deeply weakened as a result of the actions of the United States and Israel over the course of the last month in striking the nuclear facilities and destabilizing them completely. We saw the fake news legacy media deciding to try to take a different approach with that, saying that they weren't successful. We saw Secretary Pete Hegseth not mince words during a great press conference with General Dan Raisin Kane, who detailed all he could some things still classified, but other things that were declassified, sharing that these pilots were training years and years for this moment. That some people, their job, in fact, was to be ready for that moment, that strike that was so successful with the B-2 bombers undetected in Iran, a 36-hour tour from Missouri to Iran and back while being refueled in the air. Some people dedicating 25 years or more of their career to that exact moment at the Pentagon. So there's lots to be proud of. And that's all that I've seen it in my own career with those who wear the uniform. They just like a thank you. That's all they ask for. And even then, they won't visibly ask for it, but they appreciate it when you go and address them for selflessly serving this great country of ours. And it's so true that the warmonger Dick Cheney needed billions and billions of dollars, his own company, Halliburton, to go into Iraq, ultimately killing countless Americans and maiming even more, thousands of young men and women who served in the Iraq war to bring freedom to that nation. And it was all a political war. There were no weapons of mass destruction. The intelligence failed. And by contrast, President Trump only needed roughly 45 minutes to an hour in Iranian airspace, a couple of 20-somethings, including one female pilot, to end the threat that the Western world was facing, really the entire world facing, as a result of the Iranian leadership, the mullahs, and the extremist theocratic lunacy of that government. We saved the world. And there's no underestimating that statement, because these people don't believe in mutually assured destruction. Even the Russian government, even the Chinese government understand mutually assured destruction if, God forbid, a nuke or a hydrogen bomb were to go off. The Iranian government, they don't look at it as the same way. It's either convert to Shia Islam or die by the sword. That the infidel is a cockroach, that Jews and Americans should be eliminated completely. They've called us the great Satan on countless occasions, including from the podium of the United Nations. We've seen it for years now, but we've seen them become very weak on a global scale, and God willing, they will recognize that they have an opportunity to join the world and the League of Nations in peace and harmony, and not threaten the world with weapons, but rather offer great trade. As President Trump put it, the Iranian culture, the Persian culture, great traders, great people who know how to go out into ports and have a history of doing just that, free and fair trade. We hope to see that. We hope to see that as well for the Syrian people. President Trump lifting those sanctions and ask from the Saudi Arabian government back during his trip to the Gulf states. If you're just joining us now, it's 11:48 on the East Coast, getting close to the 9 o'clock hour on the West Coast. Welcome to RSBN's Live Desk. I'm Robert McNeely. As President Trump is meeting with the Bahrainian Crown Prince and Prime Minister, we will take you to the Oval Office for that meeting once it becomes available, as they're discussing all of the major issues facing this world in such a time as this. And we'll have that very soon for you, as President Trump has marked a big week. This is 1 year after the attempted assassination at Butler, Pennsylvania. And thanks be to God that our Lord had different plans to preserve this great nation under the leadership of President Donald Trump. We'll go to the Oval Office right now where he's meeting the Bahrainian Crown Prince.
Hello, Doug. Good to see you, sir. Hello, everybody. Right. All set? You all set to go? Well, it's a great honor to have the Prime Minister and the Crown Prince of Bahrain. That's a fancy two titles, I want to say. I don't know if I'd rather be the Prime Minister or the Crown Prince. I think I'd take the Crown Prince. And very importantly, your son, your beautiful son, who has a great reputation, you know that.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Great reputation as a smart, hardworking guy, so it's good to say hello to you. Congratulations. We've had a tremendous relationship, I have personally, with Bahrain over the years. and has been a fantastic ally. And anything they needed, we helped them, and anything we needed, they helped us. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, including the most perfect military maneuver that anybody's seen probably in 50 years, which took place a few weeks ago in Iran, knocked out their entire potential nuclear capacity. And it was obliterated. You know, I used that term. They said, well, maybe that's too much. I said, no, it turned out it was more than obliterated. They can't go back. And we're just really going to talk about some things, including trade. We're going to be discussing trade. We do a lot of trading with Bahrain. And we're going to have lunch after this, but we'll take some questions. At first, I'd like to ask the Crown Prince to say a couple of words. And he also has a father who's living and well and doing fantastically, as I understand it.
He is.
And somebody who's respected all over the Middle East and all over the world. And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, one and all. It is indeed a great honor to be here on this fine morning to put into action the relationship that exists between our two countries. We will be discussing security issues, we'll be discussing trade and investment, which is very important. We're very happy to be announcing $17 billion worth of deals that are coming to the United States. And this is real. This isn't...
it's real money.
These aren't fake deals. These are real deals.
They don't have to borrow the money.
We don't have to borrow it. It's coming in. And it only builds upon a legacy that we're very proud of. We have had a relationship in the civil side between our two countries since 1893 and formally since 1948. So may it long continue, and we look forward to many, many more years of productive partnership. Thank you, Mr. President.
We will have
you
that.
honor us.
We will have that indeed. We'll have many good years, and I'd say right now is your top year, and we appreciate the investment. It's a great. We left, as you know, Saudi Arabia. We were just there in Saudi Arabia, and Qatar was so great. The leader was great. We had UAE, and we had a couple of other visits, but all great places, and we left with $5.1 trillion of investment, and they all want to be investing in the United States. Sure. We have, I think we have over $16 trillion of investment coming in, which is a record, and we're only a little bit into the year. And let's say the first 2 months I sort of took it easy because we had to fix up the Oval Office. I had to devote my time to fixing it up. But now we had to fix up our country. So we have, I think everyone is saying we have the hottest country now anywhere in the world. We were dead a year ago. We are a dead country. And now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And it's a great honor to have you here.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Any questions?
Well, Syria, there's only developments in Syria at the moment.
Well, I can comment. I think I'll ask Marco to say a few words on Syria.
Yeah, it's complicated, obviously. These are historic, long-time rivalries between different groups in the south-west of Syria, Bedouins, the Druze community, and it led to an unfortunate situation and a misunderstanding, it looks like, between the Israeli side and the Syrian side. So we've been engaged with them all morning long and all night long with both sides, and we think we're on our way towards a real de-escalation and then hopefully get back on track in helping Syria build a country and arriving at a situation there in the Middle East is far more stable. So in the next few hours, we hope to see some real progress to end what you've been seeing over the last couple hours.
Mr. President, Jerome Powell, do you have plans, or if you're back considering firing Jerome Powell, and what's your justification if you're thinking about this to do this?
Too late. He's always been too late, hence his nickname, Too Late. He should have cut interest rates a long time ago. Europe has cut them 10 times in the short period of time, and we cut them none. The only time he cut them was just before the election to try and help Kamala or Biden, whoever the hell it was, because nobody really knew. Obviously, that didn't work, but he tried to cut them for the Democrats, Kamala. And how did that work out? You'll tell me. It didn't work out too well, did it? But I think he does a terrible job. He's costing us a lot of money. And we fight through it. It's almost, the country's become so successful that it doesn't have a big impact. But it does hurt people wanting to get a mortgage. People want to buy a house. He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him, but they did. So, no, we're not planning on doing anything. We're very concerned. He's doing a little renovation for $2.5 billion of the Fed, building a renovation, and they have a close to $900 million cost overrun, and it's a shame. But the biggest cost overrun is the cost overrun for interest rates, because we should be paying 3 points lower, and we would save $1 trillion a year in interest if that were the case. And all it is the stroke of a pen. And that goes for his board, too, because his board is not doing the job, because they should try and rein this guy in. So he's doing a lousy job, but no, I'm not talking about that. Fortunately, we get to make a change in the next, 8 months or so. And we'll pick somebody that's good, and we'll pick somebody. I just want a fair job. We want to see lower interest rates. Our country deserves it. We're making a lot of money. We're doing great as a country. We have no inflation. Record stock market, record business, record everything. Everything's a record now. We had the worst inflation in history under Biden, and now we have almost no inflation. We've done a great job, and we should have the interest rates cut.
So you're saying today that Scott Bessent, you're so happy with him at Treasury that he's not your top option to replace Jerome Powell whenever that may be, whenever you decide what you want to do with him.
Scott's doing a very good job. I'm very happy with Scott.
Is Kevin Hassett on the top of your list?
Kevin's somebody would consider. Kevin is fantastic, too. We have a lot of good people for that job. It's not a tough job, to be honest. Assuming you're smart, it's not a tough job. If you're a dummy, then I guess it's a tough job. But it might be one of the easiest jobs I've ever seen. And now on top of it, he's building a close to $3 billion little nest egg for himself. He's not doing the right job. We should be saving $1 trillion a year in interest. When he talks about cost, we should be saving. Think of it, $1 trillion a year. Add that with the tariffs and everything else. But he just doesn't want. He's a knucklehead. But we'll see how that. We'll see how he's listening to this. That's a strange conversation. But we like to say it like it is. But we have a lot of people that want that job very badly. And I'm only interested in low-interest people, frankly, because you don't need. I know. So they had the 71 different economists and people experts that they picked about a month ago. I was the only one, along with one person from maybe the Wharton School of Finance. The two of us got it right. 69 people, including Powell, got it wrong. And he wants to hire thousands of new people to help him decide where we're going in the future. It only takes one good mind. It doesn't take 5,000 good minds. So they're expanding the Fed. It's the dumbest thing I've heard of. But it's very autonomous.
Just to follow up on that, sir, are you completely ruling out the idea of firing Jerome Powell?
I don't rule out anything, but I think it's highly unlikely. Unless he has to leave for fraud. I mean, it's possible there's fraud involved with the $2.7 billion renovation. This is a renovation. How do you spend $2.7 billion? And he didn't have proper clearance, et cetera, et cetera. So that's going on. So, there could be something to that. But I think he's not doing a good job. He's got a very easy job to do. You know what he has to do? Lower interest rates.
Decide that you are going to fire him? Have you drafted a letter?
No, I haven't drafted a letter.
So you didn't show a letter to Republican lawmakers last night?
No, I talked about the concept of fire him. I said, what do you think? Almost every one of them said I should. But I'm more conservative than they are. We talked about it. In fact, we had 11 of the 12 people here yesterday, for a very big bill having to do with crypto, etc., and other things. And all of the votes are going with us, every single vote. But during the conversation, when we were talking about it, I asked, what would you do about that? They all said would fire him.
Mr. President, thank you for taking the question, sir. You were in Pennsylvania yesterday. You unveiled $92 billion worth of investments. One of those jumped out, though, $15 billion in Homer City to build the largest natural gas power plant ever. I was at the rally where you told Homer City residents that you would not forget them when the biggest coal plant in Pennsylvania closed down. You delivered for them yesterday. What message do you have to those residents?
Well, I'm happy. Homer City, I was there, and I said, I'm going to produce something, I don't know what, because they had shut down this massive coal plant, one of the biggest in the country. And it was just purchased by the gentleman that you met yesterday, a very substantial man. I don't know if he's maybe not as substantial as you, I'm not sure. But he's pretty substantial. You know who I'm talking about. And they're going to spend billions of dollars on rebuilding it. And it's going to be the largest plant of its kind in the world, I believe, actually in the world. And it's going to be great. So we really fulfilled that promise to Homer City. But it's to Pennsylvania, basically. I won Pennsylvania, and very conclusively won Pennsylvania. So I owe them a big debt of gratitude. But thank you for bringing that up. We raised 92. It's actually going over 100. So it'll be over $100 billion to be invested in Pennsylvania. It was Pennsylvania Energy Project. So we had everybody was there. Larry Fink was there. I mean, everybody was there and done a great job. The senator did a great job, and we were very proud. That was a great meeting yesterday. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, for each of you, so for the Crown Prince, are you planning on taking any of the Patriot missiles that you're going to receive from the United States and divert those to help Ukraine?
We have no current plans, as we have an operational requirement inside Bahrain to keep them there for the present time.
He's got plenty of them, too.
And Mr. President, on the fentanyl bill,
they're wonderful. They're wonderful pieces of kit.
They work very well.
American technology is the best.
Yep.
And on the fentanyl bill that you're
That's
signing,
maybe the most important part of this. He has his choice of everything, and we make the best military equipment by far in the world.
None.
There's nothing close, right?
Bar none.
Yeah. Thank you.
and on the fentanyl bill that you're signing today, do you hope that that's going to restart law enforcement cooperation with China on getting the fentanyl?
Yeah, I think China's been helping out. I mean, it's been a terrible situation for many years with fentanyl, but since I came here, we're talking to them, and they're making big steps. They're also, as you know, being penalized. You know that, right? They're being penalized with tariffs because of the fentanyl, but they want to do something. We'll see what happens.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. An American from Tampa was beaten to death. He was killed by Israeli settlers in the West Bank. His family has been calling on you to help prosecute his killers. Are you going to do that? An American from Tampa?
Yeah, your first sentence is really, go ahead.
Okay, an American citizen from Tampa, Florida, has been killed in the West Bank. His family has been asking on you to prosecute him. Are you going to help finding his killers?
Yeah, well, so first of all, have you seen yesterday, Ambassador Huckabee has asked the Israelis to conduct an investigation. We want to get all the information about who was involved. We protect all American citizens anywhere in the world, especially if they're unjustly murdered or killed. So we're gathering more information, but I hope you saw yesterday Ambassador Huckabee in Israel asked the Israeli authorities to produce an investigation and concrete information about who was responsible for his murder.
They're reporting that tomorrow. We have a meeting on it. They're going to be reporting that to me.
Yeah. Do you think that the Gulf area now is more secure, and do you believe that a negotiation with Iran is necessary at this stage?
Well, I definitely believe that the volatility of the situation has been reduced, and we didn't know where it was going to go on the Sunday. We were very glad when we found out on the Monday. Let me put it that way. And should the Iranians want to negotiate, I believe the ball's in their court. That is the true reality of where we stand today. They are the ones that stand to benefit from a negotiation.
And they do. They want to negotiate. They want to negotiate badly. We're in no rush because, we said we could have made a deal. They should have made a deal. And then we bombed the hell out of their various places. We're in no rush, but if they want to negotiate, we're here. Yeah.
Mr. President, I know you want to move past all this intrigue over the Epstein files, but I do want to ask you to clarify something you said this morning. You said this was all a hoax. Has your Attorney General told you this was a hoax? What evidence have you seen of that?
No, it's not the Attorney General, no. I know it's a hoax. It's started by Democrats. It's been run by the Democrats for 4 years. You had Christopher Wray and these characters and Comey before him. And it's a bad group. It started, actually, look at the Steele dossier that turned out to be a total hoax. The 51 agents, the intelligence, so-called intelligence agents, it was a hoax. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats. And some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work. The Democrats are good for nothing other than these hoaxes. They're bad for policy. They're bad for picking candidates that can get elected. Like in New York, we have a communist running. He may get elected too, actually, but he'll destroy the city. No, it's I call it the Epstein hoax. It takes a lot of time and effort. Instead of talking about the great achievements, we've had a great gentleman. Yesterday, as you know, went on CNBC and he made the statement that Trump may go down as the greatest president of all in the United States. And instead of talking about the things we've achieved, we've had tremendous achievement. They're wasting their time with a guy who obviously had some very serious problems, who died 3-4 years ago. I'd rather talk about the success we have with the economy, the best we've ever had, and all of the things we've done, including in the Middle East. I mean, you see it. Instead, they want to talk about the Epstein hoax. And the sad part is it's people that are really doing the Democrats' work. They're stupid people. Yeah, go ahead.
There's lots of reports coming into this meeting that you planned on firing Fed Chair Jay Powell. Markets reacted.
Is that right? Those are reports, but they're not true.
So what would be useful to know, are you committed to picking someone from the outside? Are you going to interview individuals that are
so
on the
many
board
people
right
that
now?
want that job. I have people that I've known a long time. They're calling me, begging for the job. You know what you need there? A smart person with common sense, but you need a very smart person for that job. I think it's one of the easiest jobs in government. You show up once a month and you make a statement about where the economy's going, and we're going to raise or lower interest rates. It's probably the easiest job I've ever seen. That's why I'm trying to figure, why does he want to expand and add more people? He's going to add more economists to tell him what to do. But the economists, I was right. All the economists were wrong. They admitted it. They admitted it this morning. Quiet. Go ahead.
Mr. President, you mentioned fraud in an earlier answer. Are you saying you want to investigate the Fed chair for fraud related to this renovation?
Well, I think he's already under investigation. He spent far more money than he was supposed to on rebuilding. I didn't see him as being the kind of guy that would want to have parks, rooftop parks and everything else on top of buildings, but who wants to spend that money for the Fed? The Fed is supposed to sit there and say where interest rates are going and a couple of other very easy things to do. And he spent $2.5 billion. I think he's got some problems.
Thank you, sir. You also reported a monthly surplus in the month of June, $27 billion. A ton of money. With these new tariff rates coming into effect on August 1st, we're going to be bringing in even more tariff revenue specifically. How much revenue do you think we can consistently bring in from these tariffs, and how big of a game changer is this, not only for the economy, but also fiscal responsibility?
Well, we're going to be bringing in, already we've brought in over $100 billion. We'll be bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars. And the tariffs really haven't kicked in that much other than automobiles and steel. August 1st is a big day. August 1st is when very substantial money comes into our country. We've made deals with a lot of great places, but we had one yesterday, that was announced. We have another one coming up, maybe with India. I don't know. We're in negotiation. When I send out a letter, that's a deal. In other words, that's a deal. They don't want to ever say that. Oh, how many deals have you made? The best deal we can make is to send out a letter. And the letter says that you'll pay 30%, 35%, 25%, 20%, in one case 50%, Brazil, and because what they're doing to their former president is disgraceful. I know the former president, he fought like hell for the people of Brazil, that I can tell you. And I believe he's an honest man. I think what they're doing to him is terrible. So, yeah, we have some pretty good deals to announce, but every time we send out a letter, that's the deal. The big one really is going to be on the 150 countries that we're really not negotiating with, and they're smaller. We don't do much business with them. Because you have a lot of countries, you have over 200 countries, and a lot of people don't know this, but we'll have well over 150 countries that we're just going to send a notice of payment out, and the notice of payment is going to say what the tariff, and it's all going to be the same for everyone, for that group. They don't, they're not big countries, and they don't do that much business. It's not like the ones that we've agreed with, like China, like Japan, where we're negotiating with them, but I think probably we'll live by the letter with Japan. We're very close to a deal with India where they open it up. Indonesia yesterday was, it wasn't an open country, now it is. And they have tremendous copper, quality copper, and probably the most copper. And we made a deal with Indonesia. We pay no tariff, 0, and we have total access to trade. That's a phenomenal deal for our companies. And we've agreed with them, as you know, on 19%. They pay 19%. And it's a good deal for them, and it's a good deal for us in that case. But we have a number of them coming up. But overall, we're doing well, and we're taking in a lot of money, a lot of money. We have the number one, we have the most oil of any country in the world, even more than them, which is hard to believe. But we have a little larger piece of land, right?
We do, sir.
But we're number one in the world in oil, and we're drilling, and today it hit $64 a barrel, which is great. And that'll help stop wars, actually. If you want to know the truth, it's going to help stop wars. And we hope to get it down a little bit more. But we have oil down to $2, $2.25, $2.50 in numerous states. We hit one at $1.98 a gallon. And that's a great thing. That's one of the reasons that inflation's in check. When you can do that, you stop the inflation. What Biden did is he ended our policies, went to his policies. He didn't have a policy. Some lunatic around the desk had a policy. Whoever operated the auto pen had a policy, which is, by the way, I think the biggest scandal. That's the scandal they should be talking about, not Jeffrey Epstein. The scandal you should be talking about is the auto pen, because I think it's the biggest scandal, one of them in American history. So the economy is doing really well, and people are seeing it. Yeah.
Will you ask Attorney General Pam Bondi to release more documents to finally put this controversy to bed?
Yeah, whatever's credible, she can release. If a document is credible, if a document's there that is credible, she can release. I think it's good. But it's just a subject. He's dead. He's gone, and all it is the Republicans. Certain Republicans got duped by the Democrats, and they're following a Democrat playbook. And no different than Russia, and all the other hoaxes. They're started by the Democrats, and some Republicans. In this case, I was surprised, but they got duped.
But have you talked about it with her the last witness?
President, first of all, your high-ranking officials, whether it's been your FBI director or Pam Bondi, they have made some inconsistent statements in the past. You've had.
Well, I don't know. I can't speak about him, but I can say that Pam Bondi, I really think that she's done very good. She says, I gave you all the credible information. And if she finds any more credible information, she'll give that too. What more can she do than that? I mean, honestly, what more can she do? And we do have bigger problems. We have problems with millions of illegal people that came in here, and they're killers and murderers. We have 11,888 murderers that were allowed into our country by Biden, Sleepy Joe Biden, stupid Joe Biden. He allowed them into our country. And you know what? We got to do something about it. She's got a lot of things she's working on. And, it's very sad that somebody can be waylaid, that just get waylaid. But I think she's doing a great job, President.
In your Truth Social this morning, you mentioned past supporters when you were talking about the Epstein issue.
Does that mean that you're effectively disowning any supporters who are now calling?
I lost a lot of faith in certain people, yeah. I lost, because they got duped by the Democrats. The Democrats are good for nothing. They've done a terrible job. They almost destroyed our country. If I didn't get elected, all these numbers you're hearing about, they found $25 billion and another 25 is coming in and hundreds of billions of dollars is pouring into our country. And we just got the biggest tax cut in history. We just got the biggest regulation cuts in history. There'll be no tax on tips. There'll be no tax on Social Security. There'll be no tax on overtime. There'll be no tax on so many other things. You're allowed to deduct your interest from a car payment. That's never happened before. You borrow interest. You borrow money to buy a car if the car is made in America. And by the way, factories are being built all over America. Car factories, AI factories. But you get a deduction on your interest. Nobody ever thought of that before. It never happened before. And, you know, these are the things that they should be talking about. The Big Beautiful Bill is one of the greatest pieces of legislation ever in this country. And the Democrats have nothing to combat it. So they say, oh, it's death, death. Oh, that's good. And then they give it to the fake news, which is you and a few others. And the fake news talks about the bill is death. The bill is actually life. The bill is life, and it saves our country. This bill is incredible. Look at the results already. So we have $16 trillion being invested in our country. And this great gentleman and his family just came in with another billions of dollars. And if he didn't like the country, if he didn't like where we were going, he's very smart. He'd come, maybe he'd come, maybe he wouldn't even come. I think maybe he wouldn't even come. You'd save your time. But, you know, it's one of those things. But if he didn't like where this country was, he wouldn't be investing billions of dollars in this country. But think of it, $16 trillion, more than has ever been even contemplated before. And we haven't even started yet. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the success. And the Democrats have nothing to show for what they do. They almost destroyed. They allowed 25 million people to come into our country, gang members, jailbirds, from all over the world, not South America, from all over the world. They allowed them to come into our country from mental institutions, insane asylums, just walk right through. They couldn't come into your country. They couldn't come into any country in the world except our country. And they came in from the worst places, gang members, drug dealers. They all came in. Turn it off, please. They all came in. And I'm doing something about it. We have it under check right now. We got rid of a lot of the murderers already. Some of them we put in our prisons because they're so bad we don't want to take a chance in putting them in a foreign prison, have them come back. But we've done a great job. Our country's in great shape. We literally have the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. And it's true what the king said, what a lot of people said. We were a dead country. 1 year ago, we were a dead country. We were laughed at all over the world. We had Afghanistan with that horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. Look what happened with Russia and Ukraine. That should have never happened. Look what happened with Israel. That would have never happened. Hamas had no money. Iran had no money. There was no money to do an attack like that. All these things that happened that wouldn't have happened if you had good leadership. And that's what you should be talking about. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed, so join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.